If the Raiders end up trading Michael Mayer, the Silver and Black need to find some potential replacements. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I have ranked the top replacements for Michael Mayer if the Silver and Black decide to move on from their tight end. I'll also break down the latest going on around number 87. Friendly reminder that today's show is presented by Panda Supps, and if anybody wants some of the best workout supplements on the market, use code DRAFT, you're going to get 25% off at pandasupps.com. So there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of smoke around Mayer potentially getting moved on from the Silver and Black. So I wanted to be able to paint this picture and go through the latest here on Mayer. According to The Athletic, the Raiders are shopping Michael Mayer. And in quote, plenty of teams are interested. There has been, though, some conflicting reports on the Michael Mayer trade status, and I bring that up because that is extremely important on this style of show. If the Raiders are shopping Michael Mayer compared to teams calling, asking about the availability of Michael Mayer, totally changes my opinion on how much Mayer could potentially be worth in a trade. And I saw this put out there by Vincent Bonsignore, which kind of got the ball rolling a little bit more on some of these Mayer trade rumors. And it said, I have been told multiple teams have been doing due diligence on Raiders tight end Michael Mayer. Multiple sources indicate that the Raiders are trying to trade Mayer, who is heading into his third season. Plenty of teams are interested. Bonsignore then follows up about an hour later and says, FYI on this, the sense is that this is much more about other teams inquiring about Mayer's availability than the Raiders shopping him. Here's my opinion on all of these Mayer trade rumors. First off, until it comes from a credible source, we have to take these trade rumors with a grain of salt. Does it really surprise anybody that the Raiders could potentially be shopping Mayer? No, doesn't really surprise me. But I'm also not going to sit up here and say it's 100% true just because it came from Bonsignore or it came from The Athletic. Because what's confusing about me is this. The Raiders aren't shopping Mayer if it's just other teams are inquiring. So one of these things can't be true. You can't say that the Raiders are trying to trade Mayer and then an hour later say it's more about teams are trying to acquire him. I am team, let's hang on to him. I think Mayer is a good talent. I know that he's a tight end too, but if he wants to leave and if he wants to look for other opportunities, to me, it doesn't make sense for the Raiders to trade him. But if he wants out, that's the only way that this trade rumors makes any sense whatsoever. So somebody here is just throwing some shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. So be real with me. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you want the Raiders to trade away Michael Mayer? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. You're about to get it with the YouTube ad break. Scroll on down and give me your answer. If Mayer says, I want out of Las Vegas, then yeah, I don't want him to be a part of this organization. And if that ends up happening, you can call me, you can say what you want about me, but I will look at what happened last season and I go, that's kind of a weird situation now. I'll also say this, if you're the Raiders and you're getting a 4th round pick or better, or a player of solid value, I would entertain that idea around moving on from Mayer. If you're telling me I'm going to get a 5th round pick or later, I'm not interested in trading Mayer. And I'm not interested because, again, young player, I get it, getting ready to get into his 3rd regime. This is somebody that I thought could be a round 1 tight end. This is somebody that I think when you pair him with Brock Bowers, because Mayer is a good blocker, at least he was in college. He says that he likes to block. That's a good fitting with this offense. On top of that, when you look at the way that it's broken down from a salary cap standpoint, if you trade away Mayer, you save $653, but you eat $2 million. For the Raiders to want to trade away Mayer, I don't think makes a lot of sense. If Mayer is asking to be out, well then I would say let's move on from him. But there's a lot of weird rumors around Mayer. And the fact that this hasn't come from Ian Rappaport, Jordan Schultz, Adam Schefter, or any credible source out there, I'm sorry, it's just really hard for me to believe anything Vinny or anybody from The Athletic or even Hondo Carpenter is putting out right now. So to me, if he's traded, and this is the way I would look at it, I want the Raiders to keep Michael Mayer. But if I was sitting in a room with John Spytek, Tom Brady, and Pete Carroll, and if they go, Mayer wants out, we're going to trade him, I'd say, okay. I then would sign a cheap veteran option in free agency, and then I would go out and draft a tight end 2/3 type of option on day 3 of the NFL draft, which is rounds 4 to round 7. That's what I would do if the Raiders move on from Michael Mayer, and that's exactly what you're going to see me talk about here on today's show. So we're going to be breaking down some of the top Mayer replacements in free agency, cheap veteran options, and then I'll also talk about some day 3 tight ends that the Raiders could potentially look at in the 2025 NFL Draft. So the way that these players are going to go, I have them ranked from 8 all the way down to 1, and I am ranking these players from 8 down to 1 because I think that legitimately there's only 8 free agent tight ends that you could get for cheap that makes sense being a tight end 2 behind Brock Bowers. If the Raiders make any type of trade, I will go live, especially if it's around Michael Mayer. If you're looking for free agency news, if the Silver and Black sign a tight end, I'm going to be live. We're going to be breaking it down. I promise you this, I will be live every single day next week. And if you're like, dude, I want more cowbell, I want more Jeremy Chuggs, I want more Mitchell Renz, next week, we're going to be live 20, 30 hours. Every time the Raiders do something, you're going to hear it from me, and you're going to hear it from the Chat Sports team. So here we go. We're going to go from 8, and we're going to work our way down, and these are ranked based on what I would want in terms of going out and getting a cheap veteran tight end. Coming in here at number 8, it is Jeff Swain. And the only reason why Jeff Swain is making this list is because he played with Raiders tight end coach Luke Steckel for 3 years from 2019 to 2021. He is just a blocker. That is the only thing that he's going to be able to bring to the table. He is an older veteran, probably like 30, 31 years old at this point of his career, and it's going to cost you a vet minimum, $1.2 million. If you move on from Mayer, you go out, you sign a Jeff Swain at 1.2, and then you try to draft another tight end on day 3, because at the end of the day, I don't want any tight end not named Brock Bowers getting any targets on the Raiders if you move on from Michael Mayer. Let's go to number 7 here. It's going to be Michael Pruitt. Another older option that you're going to see is a blocker. I want, if there's 100 targets that come out from the Raiders to the tight end position, I want all 100 to go to Brock Bowers. He is the best pass blocking graded tight end in the National Football League according to PFF, which he had an 83.8 overall grade last season. Also on top of that, he did play with Justin Fields, and he played with Russell Wilson last season. Both of those quarterbacks have been connected to Las Vegas. This also would be another contract that would be a cheap vet minimum at $1.2 million because he's not a red zone option. He is just a blocker, and that's what you're going to go out and pay him to do, to just be a blocker. Let's go to number 6 here on our potential Michael Mayer replacements if the young rookie is traded. I'm going to go with Hunter Long here at number 6, and this is, again, another blocking option for Las Vegas. And if you're looking for big-name tight ends on this video, you're probably going to have to wait until we get into the top 3, top 4. But Long is one of the better pass and run blocking tight ends in the NFL. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2021, only 26 years old. Spotrac market value at $1.9 million. Sometimes people just give up on young tight ends. And I can actually remember liking Long when he was first coming out of Boston College at 6'5", 243. He might have actually been a part of that Jalen Ramsey trade, now that you bring that up, because I can remember, like, back in my OG Chat Sports days, I used to have to talk about all NFL teams, and I would have to talk about Hunter Long on occasion with the Miami Dolphins. But this is also somebody that once some injuries happened last season, he got some playing time, and for Sean McVay to put him in a starting lineup, you know, again, cheap option, $1.9 million, 3rd tight end, let's run it. Number 5 on here on the list, Johnny Munt, and this is somebody who played with Sam Darnold last season, and again, I'm looking for cheap, reliable, good blockers, the Essenza theme that we're getting here right now, and that's what he is, another solid blocker in the pass and run game. A cheap contract is only going to cost you about $1.9 million, but because he has that connection with Darnold, and out of all the quarterbacks on the open free agent market, I would say it's probably the most likely option might now be Sam Darnold on the open market for free agency for the Raiders, but Johnny Munt, $1.9 million. None of these options are better than Michael Mayer. Bottom line, I want the Raiders to figure out a way to hang on to Michael Mayer unless you are getting a massive upgrade in another position or a solid draft pick in the top 4 rounds of the NFL draft. Before we get into the top 4, and I'll be real, the top 4 here are going to be the players that I actually want the Raiders to go out and get. Before we get into that, though, huge shout out to our sponsor here, Panda Supps. And I know I'm going to have to bring my A-plus game next week for NFL free agency. And there's going to be times where y'all are going to look at me and you're going to be like, bro, you look tired. You know why? Because we're out here hustling every single day at Chat Sports. And if you're somebody that likes to hustle, and if you're somebody that doesn't want to feel the crash, I want you to try out Panda Supps' all new and improved mouth-watering flavors from their Super Nootropic. It comes in pink lemonade, peach mango, and strawberry watermelon. Sustain energy and boost mental clarity with our premium Super Nootropic Focus from Panda Supplements. Accomplish all of your daily tasks with our powerful nootropic focus. This formula, designed by experts, assists with helping you maximize focus and sustain energy levels all day long while optimizing your performance throughout your entire day. Just one scoop of focus pushes you to amplify your workload, whether you are a gamer, fitness enthusiast, or just looking to improve your daily productivity without the crash so many other products on the market have today. Use code DRAFT. It's going to be able to get you 25% off at pandasupps.com. And because you use code DRAFT, that tells the owner of Panda that you're a diehard Raiders fan. If you spend over $100 and you live domestically here in the United States, he's also going to throw in a bag and a Panda Supps shaker, which I think could help out a lot of people out there. I know for me, I use my shakers way, way too often. Let's go to number 4 here on the list. Maybe I just want the jersey. I also featured Mo Alley Cox in a video that I did, which was called The Best Bang for Your Buck Free Agents Out There. In that video, I talked about liking the idea of bringing in a red zone option that can also block in Mo Alley. That could be a tight end 3 behind Brock Bowers and behind Michael Mayer. But he is one of the best all-around pass blocking, run blocking tight ends in the league. Also, with a former basketball player, he is a good red zone option. At a Spotrac market value at about $2 million, if you were to bring in Mo Alley Cox to potentially bring in, I don't know, 2 to 3 touchdowns a year. He had only one last season, but you go back and you look to his previous, I want to say, 4 to 5 seasons, he had close to 11 to 12 touchdowns altogether in those years. Mo Alley Cox is a solid tight end, but he's a tight end number 3. If the Raiders are serious about going out and trying to find a legit tight end number 2 on the free agent market, this is where I say the show kind of begins. At number 3, it's going to be Mike Gesicki. And here's the biggest difference between Gesicki and everybody else that I mentioned. Gesicki might be the worst pass blocking, run blocking tight end in the entire football league. But he is a good pass catching option. If the Raiders were to go out and you were to sign somebody like Sam Darnold, I could see Gesicki being an interesting option just because you need somebody else that can stretch the seam, especially down the tight end seam. And Gesicki can do that. Yeah, it might cost you $6.7 million, but he is coming off a year where he had 65 grabs, 665 yards, and I think that he is a really good tight end that can create some matchup nightmares. Like if he's getting one-on-ones, Gesicki's going to go out there and he's going to show you that he can be a damn good player. But again, in the grand scheme of things, in my mind, I'm going, why are we trying to feed another tight end not by the name of Brock Bowers? And this is more of just a matchup nightmare for teams out there because if it's Gesicki, Bowers, Jacoby Myers, you hope that you find another, number 1 wide receiver. That's a tough matchup. I don't care what you are. That's a tough matchup. But if you're looking for a pass catcher at the tight end position to replace Mayer, I think Mike Gesicki might be your best option. If you're looking for more all-around tight ends, Austin Hooper comes in here at number 2. And I think Hooper would be a better fit than Gesicki because, again, I'm looking for an all-around tight end to replace Mayer. And he also played with the Raiders in 2023. I'll admit his worst year of his entire career was in 2023, but I think that might have been a little bit more to do with Josh McDaniels and everything else that was a shit show in 2023. But this, to me, would be a good option behind Bowers. Though Austin Hooper's Spotrac market value, I don't think is 6.7 mil. I actually believe it's more along the lines of 4.2 million is the number that's in my head right now. I think that was just a copy and paste on my end. So you're able to go out and get him for, again, like a $4.2 million. Somebody that can pass catch, somebody that can run block a little bit. If you get him 300 snaps for an entire season, that's a good overall value. And again, he's getting up there in age, probably about 30 years old at this point. He did, though, have a good year. 45 catches, 476 yards, 3 touchdowns. If you told me this is what Michael Mayer does this year, I'm happy about that year. And I know Austin Hooper is a good professional. But to me, the number 1 option, if the Raiders need to replace Michael Mayer, it's Harrison Bryant. And he's technically, an option that the Raiders can re-sign. If Las Vegas re-signs Harrison Bryant before NFL free agency, that's going to be one of those moves that as soon as that happens, I'm going to go, oh, crap. These Michael Mayer trade rumors might actually be legit. Because, again, it's another solid all-around tight end option that has got a connection with Luke Steckel, our tight end coach. Would be a good option behind Brock Bowers. And at $3.5 million, he can block, he can catch the football. He's a good tight end, too. And I know the Raiders didn't really use him last season, but I am a believer that Chip Kelly is going to be a lot more creative than Luke Getsy. That Chip Kelly is going to have this offense clicking a lot more fluidly than we have seen in the past, basically as long as I've been covering this show. But I would want a cheap option that's got some familiarity for that reason. Harrison Bryant, I believe, is the number one option to replace Michael Mayer. And when I think of replacing Mayer, I think cheap, tight end number 2, that doesn't take away too much from Brock Bowers. That's a good blocker. That's a good red zone option that can catch the football. That's not going to cost a lot of money, because I don't want the Raiders to trade away Mayer if we don't have to. So one more time here are our top 8 Michael Mayer replacements if Las Vegas decides to move on. And I am doing this based off of my idea of I want to sign a cheap veteran tight end to be the tight end 2 for this season and almost have that guy like Harrison Bryant, Austin Hooper, Mike Gesicki. I would want them to be a bridge tight end to somebody that I'm going to draft on day 3 to have a little bit cheaper. So coming up here would be the Michael Mayer replacements that I would look to draft on day 3 of the NFL draft. If you're looking for players that are going to go on day 1, day 2, they're not going to make this list because Brock Bowers is your number 1 and Bowers is the best tight end in the NFL. So the 5 names that I would tell people to keep an eye on for day 3 for the Raiders if they move on from Michael Mayer, number 1 name, Oronde Gadsden. This is somebody that talked to the Raiders a little bit at the Combine and really good pass catcher with the football. Terrence Ferguson, Mitchell Evans is basically the blocking version that you want from Mayer. Luke Lackey, and then Jake Brinkstool. These are 5 tight ends that I believe could go in day 3 that I believe are probably a little bit more round 5, round 6, round 7 options to replace Mayer. But again, let's not trade Michael Mayer if we don't flipping have to. Reminder, if you made it this far in the video, we got to be doing something right around here. Free agency is going to be crazy. Next week on the Raiders Report is going to be crazy. We will be live every single day next week, and I hope that you tune in and pull up with us because we're going to party.